Welcome to Perceptive Truth, where I help you find your best health because true health is a mind, body, soul connection. All right, let's get into it. Uh, I'm recording this video on March 2nd, 2026, and we have a lunar eclipse tomorrow. And if you can't tell, since the solar eclipse happened in Aquarius, a lot of things have happened over the past weekend. Trump and the rest of his administration decided to attack Iran with Israel. And first off, I just want to say that I just find this really sad, and one of the worst things that can happen to our nation. Um, I it's just I'm kind of at a loss for words. Other than, what are we going to do now? Um, it's But okay, let's just kind of get into the astrology of it all. Like I said, tomorrow's March 3rd. It's going to be a lunar eclipse. And let me go ahead and show that real quick. All right, sorry, I was recording this, and as I was editing, I noticed that I forgot to hit record on this part of the video. So, all I was really wanting to say right here was that on March 3rd, 2026, you can see that there was going to be a total lunar eclipse in Virgo at 12 degrees and 51 minutes. And that the time zone that I put it in is in New York City, New York. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah. And then I was going to also show it in chart form. And it was just so that you could see that the sun and the moon being in opposition to each other, and that it was going to be happening at 6:34 a.m. in New York City or on East Coast time. And as you can tell, the moon is in Virgo and the sun is in Pisces, and it's in eclipse. And that's what's causing the eclipse right now. Switch this full screen. Okay. I just wanted to say how some things we noticed were more files being released. And because of those files being released, people who we thought would never face consequences, not in the United States, but at least in foreign land, in the UK, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor got arrested for sharing details he wasn't supposed to with Jeffrey Epstein. And then, oh, I forget his name. I'm going to have to look it up. Okay, hold on. Arrested in the UK. I swear I knew his name before I started recording, and then now I forgot. Peter Mandelson. He also got arrested for having connections to Epstein and, let's see, yeah, allegedly providing sensitive information to Jeffrey Epstein. So Mandelson and he's no longer a prince, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor got arrested in the UK. Right now, I don't think they've been formally charged. They've been formally charged, but they haven't been tried or anything. However, they go through it over there in the UK. And that's for their ties with Epstein. And that was two prominent royal people who were kind of knocked down during the solar eclipse, or around that time. The solar eclipse happened in Aquarius. So now 2 weeks on, we're now here at the lunar eclipse in Virgo. And so usually a solar eclipse represents like leaders or people who have more power, whereas lunar eclipses have to deal with more people who just the regular people, and how we go through things, how we experience things. So it's kind of like, here's the first round, which was leaders and what happened because of them and their decisions, and what is going on with them. And then it goes on to like how we're like regular people experiencing their decisions and how we're going to deal with them. And so now the lunar eclipse coming, but it kind of like, you know it kind of represents like, if we're going to think like collectively, um we're going to see how we have how we're going to deal with the decisions of the leaders, or like the repercussions of it, um collectively. Now individually it may be different, like this could represent something different to you, and it depends in the house, right? Or so it's the sign of Virgo. Virgo usually means of being of service, um, working hard, being organized, being like uh, like healthy, like self-conscious of your health, and taking all of those things into consideration. Um, but I kind of see it a little different collectively, and what we might experience, like like in the timeline between the solar eclipse and the moon, or the lunar eclipse. We've already seen a lot, right? Like I said, over the weekend, the U.S. And Israel attacked Iran, and now Iran has been attacking everywhere around the Middle East. And so, like, this is, I might get off the tangent a little bit. This is kind of crazy because I grew up when 9/11. Okay, I'm a millennial. Okay, I was born in the 80s. I have experienced a lot of um like societal unease, and just feeling the the fear and the everything that comes with like all the politics and how everything has happened growing up. Like, I know if you're younger, you probably don't remember. If you're my age, you do, my age and older, when 9/11 happened. And it was a very scary time to experience that. The last time America had been attacked like that was at Pearl Harbor when we entered World War II. And there's more astrology transits that are happening that are similar to that right now, but it's just to know that we're repeating the same things again. It's like we didn't learn anything as a nation, or at least our leaders haven't. And anybody who agree with what they're doing haven't learned anything. And it's just so sad to see that this is where the nation is at. Um, and it also comes to like, maybe what I thought and what a lot of us thought was we were moving on from these things, and we clearly haven't. Like growing up after 9/11, I was in high school when that happened. And then like immediately we went into the Iraq war after that. And I remember at the time, like, because I wasn't really into politics back then. I was like, oh good Lord, I was probably like 16 when that happened. Like, I thought, oh my gosh, they attacked America. We have to, retaliate. And that was like the consensus of everybody. And I remember watching on the TV that night the bombs hitting, I don't even remember where, but it's just like, yay, they're, it's repercussions for what they did to our country. But then, like, I remember, that happened, and then going to college, and then realizing now, like, there's weapons of mass destruction, and not really understanding much about it. Um, it took a while. It took a while for me to understand all of that and to really understand that it was all lies. It was all lies. There were no weapons of mass destruction. They killed so many people, and so many US soldiers. And, good friends of mine went to war and came back. And, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, she went to war in Iraq. And it's just so sad to see that, this is where we're at again. Um, so besides that, I just wanted to say, like, Virgo, I actually have a lot of Virgo people around me. It's kind of funny with, like, when you think of astrology, when you think of all the people that surround you, and then you realize that there's certain people that surround you that you're probably supposed to learn a lesson from. So, like, I'm surrounded by, like, Leos. And, darn you, Leos. Always, and Leo ends up in my eighth house. There's just, like, a lot of, I always have to figure out, like, they always make me have to learn stuff about myself that I didn't want to learn at that time. But then Virgos, I'm also surrounded by Virgos, and it's like a Virgo sun, Gemini rising. I know several people with that placement. And something I've learned about these placements, just thinking about the Virgo sun, is that, God, they're smart. Just very smart people, very observant, hard working. My dad is one of those, Virgo sun, Gemini rising. And he is one of the hardest working people I have ever met. He worked himself to the bone. He worked and worked and worked until he couldn't work anymore. And now, he's retired now, but he doesn't get around much. He kind of, his whole life was just his work. And that gave him a lot of resentment. And so I was kind of thinking about that, like, what does this lunar eclipse mean for us? And when I was thinking about my dad and other people around me, who have this placement, just how hard they work and how observant they are, and how even psychic, like, God, my dad's so psychic. It's kind of crazy. Um, just the things that he's witnessed. And, I've learned a lot from him in that respect. And to think that this lunar eclipse probably, it's kind of, I think, making us, because it's also okay, so right now the south node is in Virgo as well, and that's kind of what makes the eclipses happen in certain signs. But except for Aquarius, we're still not, the nodes haven't moved on to Aquarius yet, and Leo. But south node Virgo, we're having to let go of something. And then a lunar eclipse in Virgo. And it's, I think, to my Virgo sons out there, and what we're all experiencing is that we're tired, and we're experiencing a lot of resentment. And we're realizing right now that these plutocrats just, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care if more people die in war for whatever freaking reason. Like, and I think like right now, a lot of us are just, okay, we get it. You don't care about us. But in that, we we can come together as a community and realize that maybe they don't care about us, but we, the people, we can decide what we want and what we don't want. And I personally do not want this war. I'm a lefty. I'm on like Bernie Sanders progressive wave. And you know, this I hate this. I hate this so much. It's just oof. Anyways, so right now also Mercury is retrograde, and it's kind of like we're having to also slow down and think more rather than just speak. So it's like this multitude of transits happening, like the solar eclipse happening in the year of the fire horse, and then Neptune and Saturn meeting at 0 degrees on February 20th in Aries. And it's like that flashpoint, like, wow. And then also Mars squaring Uranus, another big chaotic angry mess. um but beyond that, I just kind of wanted to also mention, you know um in my last video I was mentioning how the last time Neptune and Saturn met were like 6,000 years ago. It was like 4,300 BC. I can't remember that. It's like 4,362 BC or something. I can't remember the exact number right now, but it's like 6,000 years ago. And in that time, um, Inanna was being worshipped as a goddess. And so I kind of vaguely knew a little bit about her mythology and history, but I looked more into it since then. And I got to learn a little bit more of her story as far as what she represented at the time. And so she was a goddess of war and beauty. And what made Inanna interesting was that she had to travel um, to the underworld against her sister Ereshkigal. I think I'm saying it right. Sorry. Um, and she had to go through 7 levels of, like, in a way you can kind of think of it as of death. Okay, so each level she had to give up something of herself. So being a goddess, she had everything. But and I don't want to kind of get into that right now, like what each level meant and everything, but through the 7 levels, she had to let go of her ego. She had to let go of her earthly uh, prizes, her materials. So, like her crown, her jewelry, her clothes. Like at the end, she was naked, completely naked. And when she met up with her sister killed her and she was dead. So it kind of goes into like that idea of like similar to like the resurrection idea, like if you want to compare it to like Christian Jesus resurrection story. Inanna had to go through her own resurrection. So she was dead for 3 days, and then she was rescued, and then she was able to, in her death, you know, she was gone. She was dead. There was nothing left. For 3 days, her sister hung her up on a hook or something, and then she was rescued, and then she was able to go back up those 7 levels and come back to Earth to be a goddess again. And so it kind of makes me think like that's what we're all going through. We are all depending, right? Like I know there are people out there who don't want to face things, who enjoy like this cruelty and the war or whatever. Um and they're just not there yet. So when we think spiritually of what's happening, and also like something that I didn't even consider when I was making that video last time was that um Inanna was the goddess of ancient Sumeria, which is in what is considered the Fertile Crescent or Mesopotamia, which is modern day Iraq, but it's around that area. And to think that that area right now is where we're in war right now. And if we think about what Neptune and Saturn and Aries, and if we think about Inanna and how she kind of can come in to play about the energy, is that we are having to essentially strip ourselves of everything, of our ego, of what we once thought were important things, of material things, with how everything is so expensive now. There's many of us who don't have much, and it's hard right now. And just thinking about like that representation, that energy of having to completely be like spiritually naked, bare to the bone, dying figuratively, um, until we can all rise up together. And I just wanted to share one quick story. I remember when Trump was nominated for president in November 2024, and I had kind of pulled some cards to understand, and then I also asked my guides at the time, like, I kind of don't understand why we're going through this again, like a second presidency of Trump, and why are we having to do this again? What, why do we all have to live through this again? And I got a clear answer that, it's a very spiritual time, and where there are many of you who have worked through your issues, who have, worked on your shadow, who have integrated the shadow, or if we think to Inanna, who have gone bare to the bone, working up like on yourself, that you have leveled up spiritually. There are still so many of you who have not. And before all of you can essentially like ascend, before all of you can, not have to go through this negativity, you must all go through hardship until everybody is ready to move up, to spiritually, you know, um, lack for a better term, ascend. Um, and I kept that. I remembered that, always thinking like, it's true, because I believe that we're all one. And if we're all one, that means that we have to hold space even for the people that we disagree with. And unfortunately, we have to go through this together. And I just see this lunar eclipse that's fixing to happen tomorrow as a way for us to really see that we're tired of this BS. And unfortunately, I don't know what it means. I don't know how much more we'll suffer. I don't know if there will be a lot more death. I truly hope not. But in order for us to all move up spiritually, we have to hold space for those who are still not there yet. And it sucks. But I truly, truly believe in like universal God love energy. And this is, we have to, if we know and we want to experience that love energy, we have to hold space for the horrors. And they have to feel it. They have to feel it before they will understand. And when I say they, it's the people who still are enjoying the cruelty. They have to feel it personally before they can see that this is wrong. So that's where we're at, everybody. And that's kind of all I really wanted to say today. I thank you so much for watching my videos, watching my content. And I would just ask that if you like this kind of content, that you like, share, subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear your opinions. And I want you to know that eventually we'll get through this. I know right now it's a really hard time. The astrology is really harsh. But eventually, I feel like we'll get there. So just hang in there. We're all in this together. All right? Okay, I'll let you go for now.